You are breathing right now. You have been breathing since the moment you were born, roughly 15 times per minute, 900 times an hour, 21,000 times a day, and about 600 million times across an average lifetime. There is a very good chance that the breath you just took entered through your mouth rather than your nose. If it did, you bypassed every sophisticated system your body evolved for the task: a pharmaceutical factory, a precision gas delivery system, a high-efficiency air conditioner, and a pressure regulator that governs the chemistry of your blood. Your mouth can move air, that is all it can do. Your nose, by contrast, performs 5 critical functions on every breath before the air reaches your lungs, and the physics of each one fundamentally changes what that breath delivers to your body. Begin with the engineering, because the structure of the nose explains everything that follows. In cross-section, the nasal cavity is not a simple tube, but an intricate obstacle course formed by 3 pairs of shelf, like turbinate bones projecting from the lateral walls, covered in highly vascularized mucous membrane. These turbinates force incoming air through a series of narrow, curved passages rather than allowing a straight path. The inferior turbinates handle the bulk of the flow. The middle sit above them, and the superior turbinates occupy the upper reaches near the olfactory region. Together they create roughly 150 square centimeters of mucosal surface area packed into the space of a small fist. Beneath this mucosa lies a dense network of erectile tissue, venous sinusoids similar to those in the genitals, that swells and shrinks on a 2 to 4 hour nasal cycle, alternately congesting one side while decongesting the other. This self-regulating cycle, controlled by the autonomic nervous system, ensures each side of the nose gets periods of high airflow for conditioning and periods of rest for recovery. The geometry is deliberate. It pushes airflow across the critical Reynolds number threshold, transforming smooth laminar flow into chaotic turbulent flow. In the mouth, with its wide, smooth walled cavity and no internal structures, airflow remains largely laminar. Turbulence is the key physical principle that makes the nose work, dramatically increasing contact between air molecules and the mucosal surface. This enables 3 foundational engineering functions, performed simultaneously: thermal conditioning, humidification, and filtration. Incoming air, which can range from 20 degrees C to 40 degrees C, is warmed by forced convection against the blood-rich turbinate surfaces to within 1-2 degrees C of body temperature by the time it reaches the nasopharynx. At the same time, the moist mucosal layer humidifies the air to approximately 95% relative humidity, protecting the delicate single-cell, thick alveolar membranes from dehydration. Turbulent flow also drives filtration. Chaotic particle trajectories cause bacteria, viruses, dust, pollen, and spores to impact and stick to the sticky mucus, after which millions of beating cilia transport the trapped debris toward the throat for disposal. Mouth breathing bypasses all 3 processes, delivering air to the lungs at ambient temperature and humidity, carrying unfiltered pathogens directly into the lower airways. Yet the nose's role goes far beyond mechanical conditioning. Behind the cheekbones, forehead, and bridge of the nose lie the paranasal sinuses, which function as continuous pharmaceutical factories. The epithelial lining expresses nitric oxide synthase, converting L-arginine into nitric oxide, NO, at concentrations around 100 parts per billion. Every nasal inhalation draws a measurable pulse of this gas into the airways. In the bronchioles, nitric oxide acts as a bronchodilator, relaxing smooth muscle and widening the airways. In the pulmonary blood vessels, it functions as a vasodilator, increasing blood flow to the alveoli. The result is a 10–15% improvement in oxygen uptake per breath, not from more air volume, but from optimized matching of ventilation and perfusion. Mouth breathing delivers none of this nitric oxide, so the airways remain narrower and the surrounding lung tissue less well perfused. Then comes the paradox first described by Christian Bohr in 1904. Breathing harder does not always deliver more oxygen to the tissues. It can deliver less. Through the Bohr effect, adequate levels of carbon dioxide in the blood reduce hemoglobin's affinity for oxygen, allowing it to release O more readily into the tissues. When Cl falls Z as it does during over-breathing, hemoglobin tightens its grip on oxygen, shifting the dissociation curve leftward and reducing tissue delivery even though the blood is fully oxygenated. The wide open mouth encourages higher ventilatory volumes that rapidly clear exhale, triggering this counterproductive cycle. Breathe more, ga lose more ka tighter oxygen binding, ga less tissue oxygenation, stronger urge to breathe. Nasal breathing's higher airway resistance naturally limits volume and slows the respiratory rate, helping maintain the QO levels required for efficient oxygen unloading. Finally, nasal breathing's resistance also slows the breathing rate toward the cardiovascular resonant frequency of approximately 5.5 to 6 breaths per minute. At this rate, respiratory-driven fluctuations in heart rate synchronize with the body's natural 0.1 as Mayer waves in blood pressure, maximizing heart rate variability, vagal tone, and autonomic balance through phase-locked resonance. Mouth breathing, with its lower resistance, typically drives faster, shallower breathing, 20 breaths per minute, that prevents this beneficial coupling. The same physics governs sleep. Mouth breathing allows the jaw to drop and the tongue to fall back, narrowing the pharyngeal airway and increasing the risk of obstruction, snoring, and sleep apnea. It also fragments sleep architecture by causing micro-arousals that reduce deep, slow, wave sleep, limiting overnight repair, immune restoration, and growth hormone release. Nasal breathing keeps the mouth closed, the jaw forward, and the tongue against the palate, maintaining airway patency while preserving call levels and slowing the breath rate. In short, the nose performs 5 interdependent mechanisms: turbinate-driven turbulent conditioning, nitric oxide delivery, CO, preserving resistance, cardiovascular resonance, and airway protection during sleep, each of which is entirely bypassed by mouth breathing. The mouth is an emergency backup route, meant for occasional use when the nose is blocked. It was never designed as the primary airway. It lacks turbinates, sinuses, resistance, and the postural mechanics that optimize every breath. Across the 600 million breaths of an average lifetime, you can choose either the system your body spent millions of years perfecting, or the raw, unconditioned backup. The physics, chemistry, oxygen delivery, cardiovascular efficiency, pathogen clearance, and quality of sleep all change with the very next breath, depending on which opening you allow the air to enter. Closing your mouth and breathing through your nose instantly reactivates every one of these mechanisms. The switch is immediate, reversible, and available at any moment